We'll look at the while loop. There are several kinds of loops, as you'll probably see from the specification and the notes I've given you. The while loop exists in Python, so we can use it. There is another while loop called the do while loop, or repeat until loop, sometimes it's called. And that doesn't exist in Python, but there is a big difference between that and the one that I'm going to show you now. So you really need to pay attention to the small details, and I'll point them out to you as we get there. So let's start with the while loop. We still need terminators, start and end, but I'm going to place the end in a different area this time, just for clarity of the documentation or the diagram. So there's my start. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read some data from the keyboard. So let's imagine that we're playing a game, and every so often in the game it's going to ask you, do you want to quit? And if you don't want to quit, then the loop is going to continue. You're going to continue playing the game, and you're going to continue that until you decide at the keyboard you're going to quit. So this is my input. Let's actually start by naming them as we go along. So there's my start. What I'm going to do is ask the player if they want to quit the game. So I'm not going to write in a big message. I'm just going to put input quit with a question mark, and I'll type the message out in pseudocode or in Python as we need it. The next thing I need is my decision box. Now I'm making a decision, and we've used this in the if else and if else, as along with the switch statement, and now we're going to use it with loops. So this decision box, the rhombus, is really going to be used a lot in programming if you design using flowcharts, and it has different meanings depending on what you are programming. So you would need to be very careful and astute with how you use it, because it can have a lot of different meanings. So here's my decision. It's either going to be yes or no, and we're going to call the decision or the word yes or no a condition, because this is a condition controlled loop. In other words, it's going to continue until something happens. There is another kind of loop that isn't conditioned, it's based on a count. We'll see that later. It's called the for loop. So here's my decision, and to one side I'm going to place the end. This is the difference that I was talking about. Normally I put this at the bottom. This time I'm not, because I want the space beneath the decision box to continue my programming. So what's going to happen? I'm just going to print out a message to the user to tell them that they're still playing the game. So output still playing. There we go. That's sort of exceeding the width of the box, which isn't very good. Let's see if I can just change that to playing and keep it inside the box. So I'll give them a message to let them know they're still playing. And this is the important part. I'm actually going to reuse this symbol inside the loop. So if I copy that and paste it, so you can see it's just a straightforward copy. That now goes inside my loop, and this is the important part of a while loop. If I don't ask again, if I don't make that question or check the condition, then I'll have something called an infinite loop. It will never ever stop. Sometimes we can use that to our advantage. We've used it just to keep a game going, so that we can test things out using while true. The condition never changes. But in a true while loop, then you want your condition to change. So I am asking again. So this is sort of precondition. So this goes before I ask the question, and that just makes sure that I enter the loop at least once, and that's the big difference between this and the do while loop. And then I've got a sort of post condition. So after I've gone into the box, I ask again to see whether I need to keep playing. So let's put the lines in and you'll see the flow of the program. So the start goes down to quit, which goes down to the decision. Now I'm going to invert what I say. I'm going to use a not. So if they decide they're going to quit, I'm going to ask, if you don't want to quit, continue playing the game. So when I go to the end, I'm going to use the yes statement. You might not understand that at the moment, but it will become clear later. So my no. So if I decide I'm not going to quit, I print out playing. Then I ask the question again, do you want to quit? And I go back all the way up to here. It's not liking that. There we go. As though I'd done this box again just before the decision, and that is my loop, and that will continue until the user decides they're going to quit. Now this is the first time we've seen this. Normally the program flow goes from the top to the bottom, or maybe it'll go to the side, but it generally goes in a downwards direction. This time I'm going back up and repeating a part of my program. This is called repetition or iteration, and that's what the loop's for. So let's hop over to pseudocode and write this in pseudocode. Let's get rid of the previous one, and it's straightforward. I'm going to have quit equals input. So I'm getting from the keyboard, give them a question, do you want to quit? So that's my input statement. The next thing I do is my condition. So this is the rhombus, the diamond, whatever you want to call it, and it works like this: while, so that's the keyword, here is the condition, while quit, which is the variable I've got there that received the value, while quit is not equal to yes, do. This keyword here exists in pseudocode. It does not exist in the programming language, or not all of them. Some programming languages like Pascal require this. So I've inverted it. I could have put while quit equals no, then do whatever's inside the loop, but that is sort of not logical. So I've inverted it, and that will become clear too. So what am I going to do inside my loop? Well, I'm going to print out a message, and I'm just going to say you're playing the game. And then I've got to use this line of code again. This is where, this is important. I need this line of code for the condition. So when we've got a while loop, inside the loop we must always change the condition, or give it a chance to change. If not, it will be an infinite loop. And that's it, that's my while loop. All I need to do now is, in pseudocode, which doesn't exist again in Python, is just end the while, put an end while statement in there. So that's pseudocode for it. Let's hop over to Python and let's program that. Let's get rid of this. And let's put them side by side so you can see it. So I'm going to have the variable quit equals, now this is going to be raw underscore input because I'm asking for some text. Do you want to quit? So the variable quit will now have either yes, no, or any word that you really want, but we're just going to test it for the yes. And here's my test, while, so this is the condition coming up now, while quit is not equal to yes. And if you remember back to string handling, we've got to be careful because somebody could be typing in capital Y and lowercase letters, or all capitals, or something else. So you'd probably want to do dot lower on quit or something, but at the moment we're just going to leave it as it is. And there is no do statement as we've got in the pseudocode, but Python requires the colon to indent the next item. So the next item would be print. We don't use the brackets in 2.7. We're playing the game, just to let us know we're playing the game. And I'm just going to copy and paste this line of code at the top, just to prove that I'm reusing it. And that's it. Now, I haven't got an end while, but the program would continue below it. I'm going to keep this at the moment. We'll run it first and keep it like this, but I'm going to put another line here to prove that we finally finished the loop. So if I choose File, Save, and run my program. F5, do you want to quit? No. Playing the game, do you want to quit? No. Playing the game, do you want to quit? Let's just type elephant, which is a word completely random. And we're still playing the game. Do I want to quit? Yes. And my program exits, or the loop exits. So as I said just before I run that program, what I'm going to do is actually come back to the start line to show you that I'm outside of the loop. Everything indented is part of the loop. Everything that is not indented is now after the loop, and continuing my program. But I haven't done this in pseudocode or in flowcharts, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to write it straightforward. Print. Thanks for playing. So this is only going to work, only going to happen if at this stage I type yes, I want to quit, and that condition then fails and we end up outside of the loop. So let's run that one again. We'll be asked to save it. Do you want to quit? No. Playing the game, do you want to quit? Yes. Thanks for playing. Now, one more important part of the while loop that is different to a do while loop, and I know we haven't covered that yet, but bear this in mind when we do. This loop does not need to be executed. In other words, it may never ever run at all. In a do while loop, we are always guaranteed it will run at least once. This one may never run at all, and I don't know whether you can see why. If we're asking, do you want to quit, and the person types yes straight away, it will never print playing game. So it will never ever come into this loop. So a while loop can run either 0 or more times, where a do while loop actually runs at least once. But we'll see that when we get to the do while loop. That's not implemented in Python. We can't program it in Python, but other languages like Pascal do use it. So we have an issue if we actually always want to execute our loop once. We do have a programming issue that's different from the exam board's ideas. So let's run this and prove that. So, do you want to quit? Yes. The loop is never run, and it just says thanks for playing. So that is the while loop in Python.